My younger sister was the absolute favorite. She was always doted on since the day she was born. It got worse, though, after her first beauty pageant when she was 2 years old. She won the crown and stole every drop of my mother's affection from then on. My name is Jaden, and my childhood was horrible. It was just the three of us: Mom, me, and Gabriella. My younger sister was the absolute favorite. She was always doted on since the day she was born. It got worse, though, after her first beauty pageant when she was 2 years old. She won the crown and stole every drop of my mother's affection from then on. There were pictures of her on stages winning sashes and tiaras all over the mantle and fridge. Not a single photo of me. It got worse once I was 9 and she was 6.
Jaden, we need more space to store all of Gabriella's pageantry costumes. I'm just going to put them in your room. You don't mind, do you?
I told her I did mind. A lot. That was my room. Gabriella already had her own bigger bedroom with a walk-in closet. How many clothes did she really need?
Well, she's actually doing something with her life, making a name for herself and networking with powerful people. And besides, it's my house. I'm just letting you use your room out of the goodness of my heart.
I pointed out that I was only 9, but she didn't care. Precious Gabriella had already won a full shelf of awards, become friends with rich kids who could take her on expensive trips, all while she was younger than me. I told her I still had my whole life ahead of me to become successful.
Don't be stupid. You'll never amount to anything. You've already missed the boat.
That year, my family forgot my 10th birthday. When I woke up that Saturday morning, I couldn't smell pancakes cooking or any of my favorite breakfasts. I went downstairs and saw no decorations. My mother was making oatmeal, my least favorite, but just enough for one person. I looked at the table and saw Gabriella in her pre-pageant sweatpants and t-shirt, hair all done up with glitter and pigtails and pearls.
Oh, there you are, Jaden. Cut up the fruit for your sister's breakfast.
I was too stunned to speak. I picked up the knife and started cutting strawberries. With each slice, I realized this wasn't a joke. They had really forgotten. I wasn't special enough to them for them to even remember the day I was born. After I was done making my sister's breakfast, they left in the car, leaving me all alone in the empty house. I searched the house for presents. Nothing. They didn't even come back that night, Mom ignoring my calls. I had to fend for myself for dinner, a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and cried myself to sleep. Happy birthday to me. When they came back the next afternoon, Mother acted like they hadn't done anything wrong.
We were supposed to come back last night, but your sister was so tired from winning the competition, so I booked us a hotel room. I'm sure you didn't mind.
I told her she could have at least called and told me. Answered one of my many calls.
We were too busy at the celebration party afterwards. It slipped my mind. You're a big kid after all. You were fine.
By this time, more than half my room was full of my sister's stuff. Bags of 2 small dresses, boxes and boxes of toys that didn't fit in her own room, and other things my mother bought her just because. The walls of stuff were creeping in on me. They made it so I couldn't find my homework sometimes.
I got a call from the school. You didn't turn in your homework again. What is wrong with you? You're worthless. Why can't you be more like your sister and be gifted at something?
I told her I had done my homework. I had just lost it in all the stuff in my room. She didn't believe me and locked me in my bedroom until I could apologize properly for making her day worse. The walls of clutter surrounded me, seeming to move closer and closer. I couldn't breathe. My hands were shaking and my breathing hurt. There was no way I was going to be able to find my homework and prove to her I had done it while I was having a panic attack. Besides, even if I did find it, it wouldn't change the fact that I had ruined her day already because of the phone call from the school. Minutes turned into hours. I made myself as small as possible in a corner on my bed to try and get away from the looming piles of things that represented my sister, my own neglect. At last, after dinner, Mom let me out.
Well, what do you have to say for yourself?
I swallowed back tears, breathing the fresh air coming in from the open door. I told her I never wanted her to do that again, to please believe me that I had done my homework. She scoffed, slapped me, and locked me in again. I couldn't take it. I had had enough. I moved piles of boxes from the window, kicked out the screen, and climbed out. Running away from home was my only option. But where could I go? Remembering my uncle's address, I ran for it. It was a couple of miles away, and it started to rain on me. But I persisted. Over an hour later, with my hair stuck to my forehead and clothing dripping wet, I knocked on his door. "Jaden, what are you doing here? Come in, come in." I explained everything that had happened. He gave me my own room and helped me get better from the cold I caught from running in the rain. Life with Uncle Duran was the complete opposite of what it had been in my mom's house. It was the first time I remembered anyone ever helping me when I was sick. He celebrated my birthday and got me a basketball. It was a brand new one, perfect and just for me. Each thump as it bounced off the pavement was music to my ears. Uncle Duran practiced with me on the driveway for hours on the weekends until I got good. Each call of support from Uncle Duran as he practiced with me made my heart soar. He'd give me pointers and help me sign up to try out for a team. I worked hard in school. Only Uncle Darren showed up for my graduation. After high school, I got a basketball scholarship for the college of my choice. Full ride. I didn't tell my mom or sister though, just Uncle Duran. "I am so proud of you, Jaden. You've earned this." After college, I was drafted onto a professional team. I had a great starting salary and was a star player. I could make free throws, layups, and dunk like no one's business. Our championship games were on television, broadcast for the whole world to see. A week before the championship finals, a reporter came to interview me. She wanted to do a story about me and the struggles that I had growing up, and so I told her all about how my mother had prioritized my sister over me and how she abused me, and I was forced to run away and live with my uncle. But that had been the best decision that I had ever made, as it set my life on a much better trajectory. While I told her how my mom locked me in my room, the reporter almost broke down in tears. A few days later, I woke up and checked my phone and saw hundreds of notifications from random people. The story was going viral, and people were cheering me on for overcoming my struggles and for running away from a very toxic and evil mother. I could only assume that while I was getting so much support from people that my mother was getting the exact opposite, but I honestly didn't care. On the night of the championship finals, an argument started up on the side of the court just before the start of the game.
"That's my son. Jaden is my child. Jaden, you need to help us."
An older woman and a college-age girl were yelling at an usher. I looked over and did a double take. It was my mom dressed in cheap, worn clothing. I wasn't sure why all of a sudden she finally came to find me after all these years, but I suspected that it had something to do with the story about me. My sister Gabriella was with her too. Gabriella was no longer the bubbly beauty of her pageant days. Instead, she looked like she had gotten in with the wrong crowd, her cheeks too hollow and eyes too sunken. I'd heard about what drugs could do to people, and that's exactly what they had described. I was shocked when she spoke.
"Jaden, if you don't retract the story, people will continue to make our lives a living hell."
And of course, they had only come to see me because the truth had come out, and now they were facing repercussions for all the abuse that they had put me through. It made me sick that they still only cared about their own needs. The usher told them to stay put and came up to me. "Sorry about this, Jaden. Do you know these two? They claim to be your family and want to speak with you." I looked the two women in the eye and said to the usher, "I don't know them. They're no family of mine." Both of the girls squawked in indignance.
"How dare you, Jaden? After all I did for you."
"You selfish loser. I wish Mom had had an abortion instead of giving birth to you."
I turned my back on them and went onto the basketball court. It was the best game I had ever played. The ball flew from teammate to teammate, the crowd roaring in excitement. Uncle Duran cheered us on from his special spot on the side. I had gotten revenge on my mother and sister. I had escaped their world and not let them invade mine. I later found out that Gabriella had been addicted to drugs prior to the story coming out, but after it did, she began to do them way more and was in constant danger of overdosing. My mother was forced to spend all of her money on trying to get her into rehab, but it never worked. After a bit, they were forced to leave the country as people continued to attack them because of the story. The last that I heard about them, they were living in another country and were struggling with bills. I can only assume just how miserable their lives had become. I even heard both of them are now janitors and are struggling to survive. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe.